patients with childhood abuse receive 5 to 6 unrelated diagnoses. There are 2 reasons why this is actually a bad thing. Hi, my name is Ruth, and my mission is to find our inner power and bring us back to who we truly are. So, 2 reasons why this is a bad thing. Number 1, it labels us. How many of you are diagnosed with depression or bipolar disorder? And how many of you just accepted it and would say it to the world, this is who I am until the rest of my life? But here's the truth. That is not the truth. It is only a label, and we shouldn't define ourselves with that label. Can you heal? Absolutely. You can heal your depression. You can heal your bipolar disorder. You can heal from all these diagnoses. But what happens is that we label ourselves and we just accept without questioning. We believe our therapist more than we believe in ourselves. If I went to a psychiatrist, I am sure I would have been labeled as depression, maybe bipolar, and it could have been a chronic depression, whatever they want to label it me. But something deep inside me always questioned that. And this is why I never went to a psychiatrist. I went to a psychologist. They cannot prescribe me anything. Now, psychiatrists can. And for them to prescribe us anything, they need to diagnose us. And then they can prescribe any type of numbing substance. Now, because I went through a psychologist, we had to find other ways for me to recover. And I would not change what I had to go through to heal some of the traumatic events in my life. And I refuse to believe that I am just a depressed person for the rest of my life. I refuse to believe that because I doubt authority. Because I see people as they have their own baggage. And now, it doesn't mean that people in authority are all bad, but they're not all-knowing. And this is why I doubt them. And be very cautious where I go to get medical treatment or psychological treatment or any other life-affecting treatment or life-affecting decision. I question, I look into it, and I learn. Because there is curiosity inside of me. I have put on my curiosity hat to ask and question and not be afraid to ask and question. Yes, maybe some people will look at me like I'm crazy, or maybe they will laugh at me because they would think I don't know jack shit, but I would always ask. I don't care what people were thinking of me. At one point of my life, after a lot of pain, after a lot of wrong decisions, I stopped caring what people thought of me. When I was much younger, I was denied asking questions, or people would be like, oh my god, she's asking questions again. You know, giving this attitude when I question things. And yes, for some time of my life, it went away, but I am so happy and so glad that it is back. And I am owning up to it. I will always ask questions. And so should you. You should know what's going on in your life. You should know how to heal. You should know what is best for you. Because we all have different paths to take. And that is the beauty of humanity. That's what life is about. Following our own paths. And without questions, you don't know what path to follow for yourself. Number 2, if we get the wrong diagnosis, and that's quite a lot of diagnoses to have, we're gonna get a wrong treatment. If, for instance, we had a problem in our lungs, but our doctor diagnosed that we had a problem with our heart, and our treatment was all about our heart and not our lungs, it didn't do anything. In fact, it would make it worse for our heart as well. Wrong treatment causes devastating long-term effects. This is why we gotta be careful with our diagnosis. And we should all have our little curiosity hats on, questioning, is it the truth? Here is how Dr. Basil van der Kolk realized that most of our diagnoses are wrong. He and his team reviewed 55 patients from Cambridge Hospital. They were all diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. 1 out of 4 of the patients spoke that they didn't feel safe when they were children. And because they were children, they couldn't just escape. They had to learn to manage their despair. 81% reported severe childhood abuse before age 7. That is a lot of hurt children that as adults are now diagnosed and just being treated. Or could it be that all they need is love and acceptance? Another thing, he and his team interviewed 525 adults in multiple sites around the country. He came up with 3 populations: childhood abuse, natural disaster survivors, and domestic violence. What he found is that of all the childhood abused people had way more severe pain, discomfort, different perception than any other one. These people had hard time concentrating. They were always on edge. They self-loathed themselves. They had difficulty with intimate relationships, gaps in memories, engaged in self-destructive behavior, which is alcoholism, cutting oneself, drugs, all the negative and bad things for us, and had many medical problems. There was always something wrong in the body. How many of you have similar symptoms to this? I do. Trouble concentrating? To a point. Always on edge? Check. Self-loathing? Check. Difficulty with intimacy? Check. Gaps in memory? Check. Engaged in self-destructive behavior? Check. Many medical problems? Try not to go to medical doctors. But even though I might not have all of those things, I have quite a ton that I can connect with. What about you? Do you have quite a ton that you can connect with this? If you do, let's put our curiosity hat and ask why. And is there a way to heal? Because I guarantee you there is a way to heal. Even if you don't see it right now, I do. I promise you, you can heal. If I had, so can you. I am no better than you. You have all the power to heal from all those things and to finally release that trauma that's been following you, that's been clinging on to you, because you are a powerful being. Your trauma does not define you. You define yourself. Like this video if you're ready to take charge over your life and to heal and not allow your trauma to define you. Subscribe if you wanted to learn more, because I'm gonna keep on going no matter what. Share this video with people who will benefit from this. Sharing is caring. The more we learn, the more we understand, the more we find and remember our own true power, the better the world will be. Another study that was done, that was actually an accidental thing, was by Dr. Vincent Felitti. He was working at the Kaiser Permanente in San Diego at a bees clinic. He was working with obese patients to help them lose weight. One of those patients was a 28-year-old nurse. She was close to 400 pounds. He helped her drop that weight to 130 pounds. Then, a few months later, when he saw her again, she gained back a lot more pounds. And he was surprised to see that. Why would she do this? So he ended up questioning her. And at first, she stated that when she lost the pounds, a coworker had noticed her physique and he was flirting with her and suggested intercourse. After that, she started to eat. When he dug deeper, she finally acknowledged that when she was much younger, she was subjected to continuing incest abuse from her grandfather. And to help her to keep this man away, she started to gain weight, which did help her. And so that remark from the man at her work triggered her traumatic event when she was much younger. And she started doing something that she thought would keep her safe, eating and gaining weight. Dr. Felitti then interviewed other of his patients, and he was shocked to find out that most of his obese patients had sexual abuse during their childhood. These people gain weight in protection. It's understandable. It's not good good, but it's understandable where it's coming from. It's not accepting that and allowing that unhealthy weight on us. The question is, how can we heal from the root problem in the first place? The part that is truly is the pain. The part that is truly is what causes our unhealthy behavior. He and Robert Anda decided to team up to find more about childhood abuse. And so Kaiser started working with CDC. They had questioned 1,500 patients at Kaiser Permanente. These are people who have insurance. They were trying to work on the best questionnaire to ask to get the information out, because here's the thing: if I go to somebody who is struggling with some kind of abuse and I just go to them and just straight out ask them, have you ever been abused? I mean, no one would want to answer any of that question. I mean, if someone came to me when I was still in my dark hours of my life and they would just be like, were you abused? I would be like, get away from me, because it would be a reactive response. It would bring the pain back to my system and I would go into defense. It makes sense. So this is where Dr. Felitti and Dr. Anda work together to come up with the best questionnaire where it will not cause a person to get upset and would answer the question as honestly as they can. Because another thing, we are good liars to ourselves. Trauma causes us to become amazing liars. I have been a great liar to myself until I faced it. But trust me, that is an effect that it has on us. And so to get the truth, they had to come up with really good questions that people can answer. Around 17,000 people decided to talk about their childhood. The rest did not want to speak about it. This is what they found. They have questioned mostly white people, middle-aged, middle class, so people that had insurance and had good education. They found 1/3 with no adverse childhood experience. 1 out of 10 had an adult in their life when they were children that would insult them or bring them down. 1/4 had one or both parents who were physically abusive. 28% of women and 16% of men were sexually abused during their childhood. 1 out of 8 witnessed domestic violence. Multiple studies shown that children raised witnessing domestic violence in the household where a father would beat their mother, these children, when grow up, would have higher chance and higher risk in creating the same relationship, where the boys have higher chance becoming the abusers and the girls would have higher chance in a relationship with an abuser. As we're kids, we learn from our parents, and if our parents behave this way, we tend to repeat it until we heal that trauma. I had chosen multiple partners in my life that repeated the cycle that my parents had. My parents were not in a good relationship with each other, and my father would always put more attention to other people than his own family because he wanted to look like a good guy. And so my mother struggled with it because she felt like she was left behind. I have had so many relationships when it was very similar to that, where I felt like I was not an important being in this person's life. And finally, I've decided to question that. And instead of blaming those men, I started to question myself. What is up with me? And that is when I realized that I was following their pattern. And it was the time for me to heal, as it is the time for you to heal. Because I know now how life can be. I know now how beautiful it is. And I want you to have it too, because you deserve it.